Hello everyone, it's funkdoc again, and this time I'm gonna be playing against atsikas. I've never played with this person before. They seem like they're newer to the game, but the reason I'm recording this is it'll be our first Baden-Württemberg game on this channel. Baden is a map that I really like a lot, but most players don't. You can see why. It has a whole different look to it from the other Power Grid maps, and quite frankly, it's ugly as shit on BSW. And I think that's a big part of why nobody plays it. Also, the rules are different, so I can explain this one. I will explain the video here, the differences in rules. So, one thing you may see here is that normally each region in Power Grid has 7 cities. In Baden here, to look at red, for example. So let's look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 normal cities, and then there's 1 special city. These special cities, there's 1 in each region. They only open up in step 2. Because of that, it takes 1 less city to trigger step 2 compared to other maps. And that's true for all game sizes. So yeah, Stuttgart is the obvious build for me here. That's like dead on in the middle of the map, which is exactly where you want to build in 2-player. When you're building first, take 1 city, the one city. Always build 1 when you're going first in 2-player, always. So that you could potentially take the turn order advantage from your opponent. Yep, okay. Opponent does a very reasonable build on their part. Matter of fact, this build sets us up to tie. So because of the different number of cities for Baden, it's actually possible to tie in the number of step 1 cities. Although ultimately there's still an uneven number of cities because of the step 2 spots. And my opponent's build actually puts them in a good position for that. So good job. The only downside is turn order works differently on Baden. 44 goes under the deck this turn. Big plant there. And now I have every reason to go for the 8 plant in this situation, because I'm going to buy a ton of cheap coal. And so, okay, normally turn order changes at the end of each turn in Power Grid. On Baden, however, turn order changes after the auction. So if we had the same number of cities at this point, then the turn order would be determined by our highest plant after this auction. Okay, opponent's going to pay 10 for the 8, then I'll let them have it and go for the 5. And attack their coal some. That is the play for me. The nice thing is, because of this, my opponent goes up top again in the next auction. Well, my next city I have to build is clearly a Reutlingen, because that's my gateway into the purple region. Gives me the most connections there. I'll have an eye on Ulm though. Also, I'm eyeing a jump into red at some point because that's cheap. If my opponent doesn't protect red, I am definitely going to go into Heilbronn and out west there, because that gets me one of those special step 2 cities when I go west. And opponent doesn't build, which is wise, because they could potentially get below me in the turn order, depending on what plants we buy. So there's the turn order, the weird special step 2 cities. There's one other rule change on Baden which actually helps the pace of the game a lot and makes it further favor efficiency, in my opinion. Early game efficiency, I mean, which is that if neither player buys a plant, then the 2 lowest numbered plants get removed from the game, not just 1, as in other maps. 26 coming in is big news. Because of the turn order rules on Baden, there's an interesting argument for bidding on the 10 here, because if you get the 10 and your opponent gets the 13 plant, never mind. Yeah, I'll take the 10 here. I'll go up in the turn order, but I mean, I'll go up in the turn order, sure, but it's a plant worth taking because this market is not looking so hot right now. With 24 there blocking a bunch of the big plants. Not all. We could still see 18, 21, to a lesser extent the 20, and the 22. Some good plants still out there, but I'll do this. I'll store coal for an extra turn. Nice job by my opponent buying up a lot of extra coal here. And there's Ulm, which is that's an important city because it has the connection to the step 2 spot. And now I'm definitely not going to build. Definitely not building. Did not expect to build out of them, so cost myself a little money buying this extra coal and oil, but it's okay. I mean, I'm kind of fine with that, honestly. If it means my opponent if me storing extra resources means my opponent builds above me, oh, I'll take it. I'll take the 13 here, too. Yes, and my opponent does not get a big drop. Okay, I am definitely crushing the plant battle now. And they buy 24. Okay, this is way too early in the game for 24, so that makes me feel good to see. 11 coming in to stall the market some more. Alright, so I do think I need to build to 4 here. And I think... Alright, Rechner. On this map, because in German, Rechner is the calculator, by the way. Let me think about this. I'd like to build to 4. Unfortunately, that means I can only store 1 extra coal for next turn, but I think that's okay because my opponent would probably want to use trash. Yeah? Yeah, let's do it. Because I want to get into Heilbronn, since that gives me 2 ways to expand in red, both of which take me to a step 2 city. Like, I cannot let my opponent get in, get near all of these special step 2 cities. That's just asking for trouble in the building war. Sigmaringen's important because it has connections to, like, literally all the other cities in purple besides the special step 3 one. Step 2 one, I mean. And the nice thing is because I'm still going to be in the bottom at the next auction, I can safely buy the 11. My opponent will not be in a good spot. Because remember, turn order is not reset until after the auction. There we go. Power 4. Alright, cool. So this is part of the advantage of going below for a turn, is it gives you another turn worth of turn order in the auction. And I will definitely buy the 11 now. I think I've bought a plant every turn so far, but I'm making money off of them, so this works. I mean, plus I can easily get to 5 cities in this turn, and 23 comes in after. Ooh, I could see my opponent buying that. I'll actually buy 2 uranium just in case. See what my opponent buys first for resources. I do think I'll buy 2 uranium, though, in case my opponent decides to go for 23, because I will pass it to them. I'm not going to buy a plant next turn and risk dropping them the 26 without a fight. 26 is going to be huge in this game. And actually, I could even build to 6, now that I think about it. Because oil's so cheap, it's actually efficient for me to build to 6. I make a bunch of money that way. 13... Now, I can't quite build to 6, unfortunately. So I think the play for me is going to be to stay at 4. I'm going to stay at 4 cities and run the 5, 13, and 11. I think that's my most efficient route here. I'll buy an extra coal just to keep them guessing, though. Well, I shall go east then, right? Or actually, yeah. There's no reason. There's definitely no reason for me to build now because next turn, since I'm not going to buy a plant, my opponent will be guaranteed to go above me in the turn order next for building. Since we both have 4 cities and they have 24 as their highest plant versus my humble 13. Need to start using some oil. It's getting too cheap. So because of that, I did not... good for me not buying extra uranium. That just would have cost me more money. Because I do think my opponent will probably buy 23 now, though. They might buy 7, actually. Oh no, they pass. So we get rid of both the 6 and the 7 this way. With 31, then 22 coming in. So this is what I mean about the market moving faster on Baden. If neither player buys a plant in a turn, then... the lowest 2 plants get removed from the game instead of just 1. So yeah, market moves a lot faster here. Market stalls just do not last for all that long on this map, in my experience. Okay. I need Biberach for sure to discourage my opponent from building down south here. And I'll take Elwangen as well. Get myself prime position for one of the step 2 cities at least. So you have to remember, the trigger for step 2 is only 9 cities on this map, as opposed to 10 on other maps. And I am definitely in prime position to win the builds here. Or at least go even. Which is good after how the starting build went. I still have bubbling in too. I didn't even get that. I forgot about that city. I mean, I'd rather cut off connections to my opponent elsewhere, but this works too. Ooh, an atsikas. Okay, 35 goes under. Atsikas is in a tough spot now. They should pass on plants here, probably. Although there's a lot of bad drops. No, you know what? Well, I buy 22 for sure then. Definitely buy 22. Keeps the market... So buying a plant actually keeps the market moving more slowly, and that plays to my favor. Because I have much better plants than my opponent right now. I'm making a lot more money per turn than they are. And I definitely want to keep the 10 around to attack coal since they're still leaning heavily on the 8 plant right now. That's why I replaced the 5 even though oil is so cheap. I'd rather just stay in coal to attack my opponent. Although now, I cannot store any extra coal because the 10 will be the next plant I replace, for sure. It makes me a good deal less money than the 11 at this point. There's the jump into purple. That makes sense. Well, since they built above me, I now have no reason to build this turn. And they trigger step too. Okay. That's going to get rid of 2 plants, actually. We build the 9 off, and then the 14 is going to get taken off too. And now 25 is in. This will be interesting. Very glad my opponent overbuilt. So now what this means is I have a bunch of extra money. Ooh, and 20 comes on too. Wow. The nice thing is I'm guaranteed bottom in the turn order. Problem is my opponent is going to pass, I think, and I can get 26. I mean, 26 is not guaranteed, though. There's still some duds that can come. Well, I stay in coal at least. My opponent does get the 26 at cost, though, which is huge for them. That's a monster at this point in the game, and I don't even have any oil to attack them. Unfortunately. It looks like they're going to stay in coal for a little while, so I probably want to store extra on that. Let me do this. There's a lot of places I can build here. Going bottom in the next auction will be nice, though. Because I might end up taking the 20, actually. I don't know. Okay, let me think about this. Oh, they jumped into Bobblingen, which I didn't protect. That's my own fault for sure. Okay, I have exactly enough money for this. Actually, I'd rather take Augsburg first because that's closer to my opponent than Nuremberg. Definitely want to take a Tauberbischofsheim first. Tauberbischofsheim, I guess that'd be pronounced. Anyway, I have to take that first since my opponent has a connection there. That one's open. And I definitely need to get to 10 cities this turn. I want to make all my money. I want to make all the money here. And opponent's still buying coal, which makes me glad I stored extra on the 25. I think my opponent might actually end up beating me in this, although they are grinding down trash with their own 24. Okay, they don't have enough money for an extra city? That makes me feel a little bit better. Because they are firing less efficiently than I am, I think. They're paying 18 to power 9 cities. I'm paying... This last turn, I paid, what, 17 or 18 to power 10 cities. So I do have a money-making advantage. They're actually going to run the 4. I actually think that's a reasonable play, since I didn't even see 32 and 46 came, and I'm not going to want the 20 next turn. Almost certainly do not want the 20. All right. Question is, do I want any of these plants at this point? Actually, you know what? Ooh. I'll take the 16. I am going to take the 16 here. That's what I'm going to do. I think I'll replace the 11 with the 16 now. That's my play. Because I need to start attacking oil. And I can actually make the 16 an endgame plant, too. I'll replace the 11 because we're getting to the point now where the 11 will make less money per turn than the 13. Plus, it requires an extra city to make that money. But yeah, now I need to start going after oil. And the opponent, if they know what they're doing, should not be buying any extra coal anymore. Because the 8's definitely the next plant they'll want to replace. Oh, wow. Opponent doesn't buy trash. Actually, that makes sense. Because they can power 10 cities this turn. Already having coal stored in the 8. Which means I can do this. I can make this little play here. Can I get into... Yeah, I can get into Constance. It's a tiny jump, and it costs my opponent more money, since I get the cheaper spot there. I really need to start attacking their money-making now. So I somehow managed to get 2 of the 3 Step 2 cities. So that's a big, big, big deal. That means I crushed the builds here. We're getting close to Step 3. Opponent actually builds to the same number of cities as me. So I think for me to have a chance at winning this game now because of that 26 at cost drop, like I had to put in a few bids in the 25 just because 26 was not guaranteed to come, not by any means. All right. 50 goes under the deck. Ooh, and I'll stay below you in the turn order. Ooh, you know what? Yes, please. Please take the 20. So what I'm going to do now is, in this situation, we have 38 and 46 in the game. 38 is not a particularly safe plant, though. So, with Step 3 being in the game, I think the play for me is to pass. The lowest number plant, again, gets removed as when we begin Step 2. And so now, we got ourselves a bunch of plants here. It's 50, 38, 39, 35. Oh, 34 is the last plant that went under the deck. I think I missed that one. Okay. So we have 9 plants in the Step 3 market. We definitely max out the coal on my opponent, as well as jack up the oil as much as possible. And don't build. So I need Step 3 to last 2 more turns to win, and I need to get a 7 capacity plant. Fortunately, my opponent also needs a 7 in order to reach 21, or else they'll have to buy 2 more plants too, which will help my cause. If atsikas ends up having to buy 2 more plants, that's going to be really good news for me. And now, do I build? And I think the answer to that is no. I will cost myself a Ludwigshafen this way. Or I should, at least. Yeah, I think my opponent actually made a mistake buying the 20. Because it puts them in not an easy spot to get to 21 capacity with just 1 more plant. They need a 7 now. And they're going to keep... I'm going to make sure they stay above me in the turn order. For sure. I really hope they fire all their plants this turn. I really hope they fire all their plants this turn. Yes, that's what I wanted to see. 46. Well, that's one of the plants that we need. And in this market, we're not going to have a good chance of getting the other 7 plant. So I really need to fight for this thing. Because it'll be required for me to reach 21 in the next turn. Kind of forced to pay for this. Yeah. Okay, and they get stuck with a... I hope they buy a plant this turn, although, nah. I mean, still, yeah. I hope they buy a plant this turn. And I hope it's not 34. Please don't buy 34. Please try to get the bigger plant. Please try to get the bigger plant. I think 34 is the best buy for atsikas in this situation. Because they know they're going to need 2 more plants, almost certainly, to reach 21. Damn it, they... Oh, god damn it, 38 actually came too. God damn it. Well, that's not good news. Alright. Well, I can get to 4 cities there and spend 53 on resources. I have 53 left on resources. One, two. The problem is they're probably going to end up winning, though, getting a 6 plant next turn. But the thing is, I'm going to try to build as well as I can in order to hurt their money, because they still haven't built Ludwigshafen yet. So I think that's what I'll go for here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just enough for this. Oh, that's actually 1 too many oil? There we go. That works. My remaining cities are really, really cheap, though. That is one thing I have going for me, and I'm forcing my opponent to buy a 2nd plant. So I did absolutely dominate the builds. The problem is paying so much for 46. Yeah, I think they're actually going to win this game over me. All because of that damn 26 drop. Yep. Good. Ooh. I like this. I'm pissed that 38 came, though. That pisses me off. This was a big step 3 market, and that should not have happened. Also, I'm pissed that my opponent, my opponent actually bought 34. I see a win. I see a win. I see a win. Buy 31 and I can just buy out coal. All right. I see it. So, here's the problem. If opponent buys 39, because they're guaranteed to stay above me in the tournament, they didn't store coal on the 20, which means I can do this. This gets me to 21. Demolish the green plant so I can reach 21 capacity. And now I get to do this. So, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. By 7 coal. This means they'll only be able to power 16 cities, and I already have 17 right now. So, yeah, we're just going to do this. Once again, the elementary mistake of not storing coal on the 20 comes back to haunt you. Can I actually end the game now? My cities remaining are cheap. Problem is, nah. I'm just short of ending the game, but I had to do this. My opponent definitely had the money lead over me because of the 26 at cost. And obviously I don't build. Because I power 17, my opponent powers 16 cities. So if they end the game, I win. The problem here is this. Unfortunately, my opponent can... Ooh, actually, you know what I like that my opponent did? I like that they bought coal on the 20, because now they won't be able to replace it on the next turn. And I can just completely buy out all the coal and then end the game on the next turn for sure. Please end the game. Okay, they realize that they're going to lose if they end the game. All right. So we get... right, so only 3 coal come back into the game, right? That's the payment. This is the supply chart. Only 3 coal come back, which means I can fire the 31. Yeah, I can fire 31. I can burn the oil on the 46 and run the 16. And that powers 15 cities. That's my most efficient route to power the most cities cheaply. Yeah. Sure, this works. See, my opponent probably should not have bought any coal in the 20, and they should have just replaced the 20 with another plant. because now they can't buy anything else that uses the coal. So they're stuck either like wasting the money on the coal. Okay, sure. I'm really, really glad if you wasted 16 bucks on coal like that. There we go. So they bought 2 coal and then wasted it. That makes me feel a little better. Do I have to buy any resources at all here? Yeah. So I still need to buy... 1, 2, 3, 4 oil. 4 oil. And I'm very glad my opponent didn't store any extra oil. That's going to hurt them too. They might still win on money, though, after this. I don't know. I'm really, really glad they bought 2 $8, spent $16 on coal that they then replaced. That makes me happy. And now we just end the game. I'm purple. So that was a net positive for me, that coal buyout, because it forced my opponent into wasting a whole bunch of money. Although them having 34 and 39 both is really good for them, they might still win, actually. Nope, I win. All right, cool. I won by a lot, too. Dang. I was going to say... sure, let's do another. Wow, I did not expect to win by 50 bucks or whatever that was. Dang. Hey, we get a second Baden game, too, and this time a good bit different map. So blue's the only region we have in common. Also, this is another thing to note. Baden actually has 1 less region compared to other maps. Other Power Grid maps have 6 different colored regions. Baden only has the 5. So luckily we'll have seen all the different regions between these 2 games. Actually, wait. Never mind. I'll just close this off here. It looks like we make it a larger game. Anyway, see you later.